Hello team, welcome back to another Lion War cast. This is your map today. A little bit of a split map with the landmass on the right and a landmass on the left, which looks to be the more interesting landmass for the two teams. On Alpha Team today, in blue, Rinatvel Lulin, and in red, someone said that my nickname sucks. In orange, Mr. Murray 68, in teal, Athena, and on Bravo Team, Man Fat Bad in pink, Valatus in green, VJQ Sin 2022 in purple, and Presso in black. We'll have to see if there's many folks who spawn on the right-hand side or if this is just going to be a massive party on the left-hand side. Because it really looks like this was the main spot that teams wanted to be picking. There's only one spot that Bravo Team could pick on this right-hand side, so it's unlikely that anyone on Bravo Team is going to pick this. So it might just be a very aggressive, quick game on the left-hand side of the map. We can see that the teams are now starting to pick the rest of the territories that they want to go, so the game is going to start momentarily. And we're just waiting. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. No. 3, 2, 1. No. 3, we're just going to keep doing that the whole time. Here we go. So Mr. Murray 68 on Alpha Team is on the right-hand side. There's no one on Bravo Team who's on the right-hand side. So this is just going to be a ton of economy that Murray can get over here uncontested. Nickname in red is a teammate of Murray spawning in the top right-hand side of this left landmass. Right beside Presso, who is in black. This is a Bravo Team player. VJQ Sin also beside Presso. And Athena right here going for 2 factories and 4 barracks. A 5th barracks here right now for Athena, who is Nickname's teammate. And then blue is Rinat, who's Athena's teammate as well. And then we have Manfat Bad in the bottom here. It's just a mismatch, or like a mix of different players on different teams in random locations is really what it looks like. The latest on this little peninsula going for a bunch of barracks and an airport with a quick power plant to run whatever is coming out of the airport. 1 factory and 4 barracks from Rinat and blue. 2 factories, 3 barracks for Manfat Bad. So Manfat Bad and Rinat are going to get into it. Athena is going to pressure VJQ really quick here. And then Presso is going to have their hands full deal with Nickname. Nickname's going for 3 tanks with a quick refinery. The refinery is very close to the water, so if there's any docks that come into play for Bravo Team, they could snipe this refinery. It's unlikely that Bravo Team is going to be able to find time to build a dock, though. And we just got multiple fronts going on, so we'll just go big picture, and I just want to make sure that there's nothing else on the right-hand side. So Murray's going for 3 docks, quick refinery, a factory, and a barracks, probably not knowing fully that there's no one on that side of the map. Helicopters for Valatus to start reinforcing Manfat Bad's fight against Rinat, who already has an artillery piece in the mix. VJQ doing the smart thing, digging in here. It's a very close spawn to Athena, as we can clearly tell. And production-wise, it looks like Purple's like generally matching what Athena is doing. First 3 tanks are out for Nickname, and they're just going to race by, it looks like. Start pressuring these buildings of Presso. Unfortunately for Presso, with this opening with the 3 factories and 2 barracks, is the production facilities are kind of in a line, which against tanks make it a little bit more difficult to protect, because these northernmost production facilities, the units have to run all the way to the south to be able to start attacking these tanks, whereas if the buildings were grouped up kind of more in a circle, there's a potential that these black units would be able to just start attacking the tanks right away. Nickname gets a factory here. And otherwise, it looks like the defensive line for VJQ has been destroyed. Rather, disbanded. So Purple wants to go for a push, or at least get into the fight and not play so passively. 3 tanks for Nickname attacking the northernmost barracks for Purple. And this is a tough position for Purple to be in, because Purple has to send units to the front to attack Athena's units. But then also there's 3 tanks already destroying what is going to be 2 barracks, really. Manfat Bad deals with the first attack from Rinat. Rinat has to be a little bit defensive potentially. It's an interesting dynamic between blue and pink here because of this mountain range, which is always better for the defender. Manfab Bad going for a quick industry. Let's zoom in here to this fight. 3 tanks get the second barracks, and this is looking real tough for VJQ, pardon me. There's a chance that Velatus could help open up a second front against Athena that will relieve some of the pressure on Purple's southern front. And these helicopters are really good because there's still no SAMs for Alpha Team as of yet. Big fight between the tanks and infantry and the artillery and infantry between someone said my nickname sucks and Presso. I think with 2 tanks, Nickname might just win this fight. So Presso's in a real tough situation at this point after losing that first factory. One rogue tank for Nickname is just going to sprint to the top, maybe start capping, and in general just cause a lot of havoc. Great dig-in from Athena to field this incoming army from Velatus. It's a lot of infantry though, so there's a potential that they could overwhelm this defensive line. And Manfab Bad is going to have a lot of success against blue here because of this artillery advantage, and it's really just infantry for blue, and artillery does great against infantry in general, especially since the infantry has to move through this mountain range, so the artillery is going to get way more shots off before the infantry is on top of the artillery. And what a wild game with multiple fronts. This is something to keep an eye on. And it's definitely worked because Athena's had to back off from attacking Purple for a little bit. Presso's rebuilding this third factory, which I really like. And Nickname is starting to transition into some artillery pieces and the tanks. Here comes the first town for Nickname. The Navy for Murray. We can just check out what Murray's doing. You can tell how much more peaceful it is over here. And Murray's going to be able to get this whole right side pretty much for free. This infantry army for Velatus does actually break through Athena's defense line. And now Athena's in a tough situation because there's two fronts here against the production. And slowly over time, VJQ is going to be able to build up an artillery army. Looking real tough for Rinat in blue just because of this number of artillery that pink is able to get. And I don't think that blue is going to be able to destroy any of these artillery pieces really, so it's not like they're going to get thinned out in numbers. Pink following up with another barracks. And Athena without help is in a lot of trouble, and that's why presumably Nickname is sending 3 tanks down to start trying to backstab Purple's base. These 2 tanks sitting in the little forest is a great move. At any point Nickname could just send these things to around the front and start attacking the production. And as of right now, Nickname does have the artillery advantage, but Presso has some infantry as fodder, whereas Nickname does not yet have a barracks, going for a 4th factory. And Athena's certainly in trouble, because this is a lot of infantry from green. Let's see what else is going on. So no one else has any sort of docks right now. Murray's the only one that is able to cap any of these water territories. So look to see Murray as like an economic powerhouse as the game goes on. Athena's about to lose a factory and a barracks potentially. Good flanking attempt from Rinat here along the far left side of the map. And these helicopters from Velatus, I assume, are just getting great value as these fights have been going on because there's still no SAMs that we can see. 2 tanks from Nickname are starting to defend with Athena to try to destroy these green infantry, and I don't remember when I've ever seen a production building explode and fly across a mountain range like that. This is a very hectic game. 3 helicopters are going to be able to destroy these 2 tanks though, helicopters being a great counter to tanks. And Presso has stabilized quite a bit, and I'm actually surprised that Rinat is doing decent here. Decent might be an overstatement because this push is still very scary from pink. Athena's down to just 3 barracks and 1 factory, still an overwhelming number of infantry and commandos for Velatus, and they just continue to pour in here. That's that 4 barracks for Velatus really coming in clutch. Murray is starting to try to drop in, sending transport boats to at least disrupt this stream of reinforcements from green. Of course, orange is Athena's teammate, so this will help a bunch. I mean, the problem is that Murray, it's a blessing and a curse, because Murray gets all this economy for free, and potentially over time could share it with their teammates, but for now it's just going to take a long time to reinforce this position. And unless Athena builds a building after these two barracks go down, Athena's going to be knocked out of the game. And that'll be a huge problem for Alpha Team. Still an enormous artillery army for Manfab Bad in the bottom left. 6 tanks now for Nickname to push the southern front. And Presso is at risk of getting spread a little bit thin here. Airport for Nickname. So Presso will have to get some SAMs out at some point. And it's a transition into strikers from Velatus. So this is that production facility for Athena to keep Athena in the game. Unfortunately for Athena, these 2 helicopters actually spot this at the perfect time. And Athena has no more buildings, so if this barracks goes down, Athena is just kicked out of the game just by default. Luckily for Athena, these helicopters are out of gas. 1 power plant isn't enough to run a striker and 3 helicopters. And the strikers are actually just trying to target this factory, which isn't the worst play, because if the only thing that stops these airplanes from Velatus is if someone on Alpha Team were to get SAMs, and this factory is the closest thing that could build SAMs, so I kind of like this play. VJQ is now starting to backstab Rinat. This is really tough for Blue, who's essentially in the same position as Athena was just in. Velatus is sending all the infantry to try to get rid of these last barracks for Athena. That's definitely the play. We've seen in team games how the economies get really messed up if you lose a teammate, just because there's no real way that your team gets any compensation for a player leaving. Athena is out of the game, losing that last barracks, but at the same time, wow, this is actually, so this is going to be 2 players from Alpha Team that are going to be knocked out very quickly, which is going to leave Nickname and Murray, because I can't imagine that Rinat is able to hold here. It's just, it's too much. There's 2 players that are picking entirely on Blue. It's a hard defense to set up and hold. Tanks from Nickname in the north are going to get this factory for sure before losing any of the tanks, presumably. 2 more factories for Presso, which I like, because the strength here is that Presso will be able to buy, as long as Presso buys some time, then both Manfab Bad and VJQ are going to be able to send their units to the north to help reinforce this position and help Presso deal with all this red army. With 4 factories now going artillery tank. Helicopters out of this airport for Nickname, still no SAMs from Presso. So these helicopters should be able to do a bunch of damage if, holy cow, here we go. Shift backspace. Would you believe that I don't have a backspace on my computer? Like I legit, here, 1 second, there we go. Alright, so now we're on Nickname's vision. It's, I mean, what do you say, folks? There's not, when it comes down to casting, sometimes, tool-wise, there's not really much that I'm working with. The 3 docks from Murray are starting to build a navy. I think they're done with building transport boats. And the question now becomes, if Murray and Nickname can 2v4 this. Tanks in the north are going to take on Presso's infantry. They're going to win this fight, so there's going to be 4 tanks up here that can do their thing. What we hear is the low energy for Nickname, trying to run all these tanks, and then of course these 2 helicopters. Presso is in trouble unless VJQ and Manfab Bad can start to reinforce. Velatus is also sending units to the north. And both players on, I mean, VJQ doesn't have any economy around to develop, but Velatus and Manfab Bad are both taking industries, which makes a lot of sense. I think is a great call. When Murray takes this territory, it will start allowing Murray to share economy with Nickname. I guess they already have this corner territory, so economy sharing can be turned on by this point. I believe the number of territories that you have dictates how quickly you can give your teammates economy. So now there's 2 territories that Murray has. If Nickname needs money, they can get it from Murray, which they likely will need to. Nickname's still dealing with this gas shortage. And really just a question of how quickly these 3 players on Bravo team in the south can push reinforcements into the north here. Murray's trying to do commando drops in the north. It's kind of working, but there's enough infantry around that Presso has that's going to be able to defend this. And Nickname is capping in the top left. Let's just quickly see what Murray's got going on. So there is 2 towns, with the second one on the way, some industry, the 3 industry in fact. So this becomes a candidate for a city for Murray to build, and Murray is continuing to eco in the south of this little landmass. So Murray's going to have all that economy from the right-hand side of the map. And I'm not sure if that's going to be close to what Bravo team has. Certainly if Bravo team can destroy the rest of Nickname's base here in the top right, it's going to be very hard for Alpha team to come back. Dock now for VJQ, I really like this. And a rocket for Murray. I believe this is Murray's rocket right on the edge here, nestled behind this mountain range. It's a pretty good spot to build that. 3 SAMs from Murray, and the factory is now developed. So this will be the end of Velatus's helicopters. The helicopter fight, red against green here. But let's see how many planes that Velatus actually has. I can't even see it because we're on Nickname's vision. But it does look like there's like a full airport full of strikers here. Manfab Bad moving to the top left to take all this economy away from Nickname alongside an army of Presso. Luckily for Murray and Alpha Team, they find this dock before VJQ can build anything out of it. But numbers-wise, I assume that if Bravo Team pushes all together, they're going to be able to destroy Nickname's base. It's interesting though, because Nickname's going to have to build another production facility in the same way that Rinat and Athena were knocked out of the game. If Nickname loses all these buildings and hasn't built another barracks or whatever sort of production facility, they will get knocked out. There's no territory on the right-hand side, really, that Nickname's going to be able to cap if Murray caps everything without Nickname sending transport boat over. Because you cannot build on your allies' territory. So this is a really big moment in the game. The 3 cruisers from Murray alongside a missile boat are at best delaying this army from Bravo Team from continuing to push. And the helicopters really have to come in clutch here, which they possibly can, because Bravo Team still doesn't have any SAMs in this location. Pretty wild game. Slowly over time, these 3 cruisers would end up getting destroyed, so Murray's going to back them up. Even if, I mean, cruisers do great against infantry on the coast, but enough infantry, quantity has a quality all its own, they would be able to destroy the cruiser. And Nickname's still very low on gas. Unfortunately for Nickname, this refinery's, I don't think, it's not close enough to this refinery for Murray, so there's no way for Alpha Team to be sharing any economy at the moment. Sub-pen for Velatus on the way, a dock for Manfab Bad. And that town in the bottom for Manfab Bad clearly damaged. I assume it's obviously got to be some of Murray's boats. Murray's now got 2 more docks on the way and a second refinery in the Southern Sea and more towns. This city is starting to be built. We can build, pardon me, we can see the cranes going at it. Love it. And VJQ isn't going to give up with this dock, which I do like the idea. Unfortunately, this navy for Murray is so close that they likely are going to be able to just click on this dock and destroy it. Presso pushing in the north of Nickname. This artillery army is now encircled. And the infantry has found the rocket, so Bravo Team knows about this. It's 1/3 of the way done. It's very important that Bravo Team destroy this. Because I assume that this rocket could hit VJQ's production facilities, it could hit Presso's, it could even hit this choke. It might even be able to reach these 4 barracks for Velatus. And here comes a city for Manfab Bad to get a bunch of economy. In the top left, Nickname's tanks do go down. There's no more tanks that are roaming around at this point. And a big fight for this launch pad. I don't suspect that it will be able to get up. It's almost halfway done at this point. But 4 SAMs and a commando with a second commando reinforcing, I just don't think it's going to be enough. Murray destroys this dock. Launch pad goes down. It's all artillery now for Nickname, who builds a 5th factory, which is definitely the play, because the name of the game at this point for Nickname is to survive. Tropic Thunder survive, because it's really just a question of whether Murray can reinforce with transport boats. And over time, allow Nickname to take like great trades and then counter push. I don't really see how else this game could possibly go besides Nickname holding on and then Murray and Nickname pushing through the north here. There's a chance that there could be a second front opened up, but I think that'd be a tough thing to do. 2 cruisers now for Manfab Bad. City is almost done to give that huge eco boost. And it's a great push from Bresso. The 2 SAMs are enough to destroy a helicopter if the helicopters fly in one at a time, and it's enough artillery that they're going to be able to start hitting these production facilities, and they will be able to destroy them relatively quickly. The SAM will likely get one last helicopter waiting for the rocket. There it is. There goes the missile and gets the helicopter. Second helicopter goes down. And Nickname really is only left with 1 helicopter, because this one will also fall. SAMs are extremely effective against helicopters. Luckily, this one gets out. Great use of the Navy from Murray to get a lot of value. But you can see this concave just sort of widening now for Bravo Team. It is a ton of transport boats. It just depends how much production is behind this, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Murray putting down 2 more factories and another barracks to get more units across. And very slowly, I think Alpha Team is going to hold this. Unfortunately, all the units are kind of just trickling in one by one. There's some standing armies that aren't really in the fight quite yet. And so it allows this big blob of artillery, instead of a bunch of infantry running in all at the same time, the artillery just pick off 1 infantry at a time. Let's see what this infantry blob from VJQ can do. Super damaged factory for Nickname, but it doesn't fall. Still on 5 factories, all pumping artillery. And these boats are doing a great job to distract this infantry and make the infantry focus on the boats rather than pushing forward. 5 artillery pieces, now 4 artillery pieces for Murray have been able to get across. And the great thing about this location for Murray's Navy is that the planes for Velatus have to take... I mean, they're really kind of out of the picture at this point just because of, you know, these 3 missile boats, the missile boats over here. It's hard for Velatus to send strikers up to support. I wonder how effective it would be if Bravo Team just stopped here, grouped up everything, and pushed all at once. It might work, not really sure. 2 strikers now for Manfab Bad. And submarines for Velatus are starting to push. This town goes down. Murray is able to snipe it. If Murray can make that navy in the south... If Murray can overpower Bravo Team's navy in the south, is what I'm trying to say, that could be a huge game changer here. Because then Murray would be able to destroy this refinery, very likely this city as well, the 2 docks, the sub-pen. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Factory and barracks from VJQ in a very aggressive position. which if this was able to get up, it would be great. I don't think it's going to be able to just because of how much reinforcements Murray is pushing into this position. And Presso going for a city, or pardon me, a town. 3 helicopters from Nickname are going to loop around the bottom, destroy this factory, or help out with destroying this factory and this barracks. And then probably start attacking Presso's production. I think it's a really good idea for Presso to be digging in here. And here we go. Murray's trying to snipe this town. With the help of the strikers, and if Velatus could get some planes in the air here to help defend, I don't think this will go down. The city is in a lot of trouble. You can see some of the skyscrapers falling over. 3 artillery pieces are just pounding away at the boats. And now with the 3 cruisers reinforcing, it's definitely going to be able to survive. Murray still has 2 docks and a submarine pen though, so Murray's going to be able to remax on this navy, so to speak, relatively quick. Second city for Murray. And this is going to start being a problem for Bravo team. Because it looks like yellow and orange are starting to build a big enough army that there could be a push here. Murray's starting to build production on the left-hand side of the map off of this, what I assume is enormous bank. Going off with these 2 cities. Second one on the way, a city, or a town, pardon me, and a port. In the very south. And Murray's going to try to rebuild a rocket. This time I think there's enough of an army for orange and red. This rocket is going to actually succeed in being built. And it can be used defensively, it could be used offensively. Bravo team needs to be very careful not to throw this navy away. Losing this navy might end the game. Second sub-pen on the way for Velatus. It's a great dig-in from Nickname to buy a lot of time. When artillery pieces are in defensive lines, they get a range bonus. They also get a defensive bonus against the artillery shots of the opponent. And unfortunately for Presso, these 3 SAMs are just a little bit late to the fight here. And in the meantime, these helicopters were able to destroy all their artillery pieces. Or the majority of their artillery pieces. Murray isn't running these boats anymore. And I don't... we see the commands are still here, so I'm not really sure why they're not moving. Bombers out of the southern airport and another rocket. I mean, it could be used aggressively on Velatus's base. It could also be used defensively against any navy that shows up. Murray's going to try to run by and start destroying this refinery, being pestered by 3 submarines. And if Murray can destroy this refinery, all the pink boats are going to stop moving because they're going to be out of energy. And that'll become a huge deal. 2 barracks for Murray on this landmass. The rocket potentially used to destroy this defensive line and a bunch of Presso's production. And then red and orange will just start pushing. I love that VJQ is going for more factories. And a submarine pen now up. These subs could be used to like destroy this refinery, even show up here and maybe destroy a sub pen or at least start harassing it. 2 missile boats and a cruiser destroy that town again for Velatus. And Murray does in fact snipe the refinery, and now we see that all of Pink's units have the black plume of smoke around them, meaning they're out of energy and can't move at this point. They also take increased damage for 5 seconds when they have that plume of smoke. So in general, just a bad time for Bravo team. And this could become a huge problem. If Murray regroups off of these, I mean, it's really 5 docks that Murray has here. 2 in the south and 3 in the north. Rocket is on the stand now. So there's about 7 minutes until this rocket is built. That's how long it takes. But there's a good mass of units from Bravo team. So if Bravo team keeps massing up an army here, well, for one, they have to make sure that they don't get rocketed, because this then just makes it so that this is a higher value target for this rocket. But maybe if they all push at one and focus on one of these defensive lines of either Nicknames in the north or Murray's in the south, they could have a breakthrough potentially. Murray's starting to send some of these transport boats around the south. and maybe open up a second front. I mean, if Murray could just like snipe this town or maybe even drop in here, who knows? The possibilities are endless. 4 cruisers for Man-Fat Bad, securing this gas again, which is important. And this is, I think, a depot for Presso. A little bit of a lull in the fighting. There's not actually that much gas for Bravo team. It's just about, like, it's some power plants. It's 1 refinery. Pretty close game. Okay, so here comes the plan. So Nickname is sending artillery to the south. Murray's boats are going to send the units across. And this is going to be a problem. Okay, so that is the rocket from Murray. The first rocket. Destroying a handful of barracks. And that's just a lot of economy for Murray at this point, who will likely be able to, yeah, exactly, rebuild this rocket again. It costs 500 money for Murray to build that rocket. In contrast, we can see what Nickname's economy is doing in the top right here. I mean, Nickname's been confined to the top right for most of the game. So it's understandable that they don't have the same economy as Murray, who's been left unattended on the far right side of the map. Here comes the push from Bravo team, and this is the huge moment. 5 tanks from Nickname are going to be able to soak a lot of damage and cause a lot of havoc here as this combination of black, purple, and pink's army pushes forward. It is a lot of units though. These defensive line artillery pieces, they're no joke. They have the better range, they have the defensive bonus. It'll be hard to push through. But it is quite a mess, so let's see if Bravo team can do it. The rocket is nearly done. That's a huge question here. If Murray gets that rocket off, then this game might look a lot different, especially if it wipes this entire army. Tough defense for Velatus against this enormous artillery army that has just popped up along the shore, especially because Murray has some missile boats that can protect against these strikers, and the bombers from Murray from the far right side are starting to harass this base for Velatus, who's building another factory, or rebuilding a factory rather. Subs for Velatus trying to get around. Murray's out of gas. And I like that Man-Fat Bad is building power plants and also a dock. It's important that Bravo team doesn't lose the Navy in the south. Great pickoff by Murray here. The rocket is now done. We can expect it to launch at any moment, really. We saw that Murray is out of gas, so there needs to be 20 gas for the rocket to launch. I assume when that shows up, Murray's just going to send this thing. And this is great news for Alpha Team with this artillery army with 1 SAM and all the helicopters that'll just push into Velatus' base. And Velatus is likely going to be panicking right now. I certainly would be, because that is a very scary army to be right at your base's doorstep. Here comes the rocket. Is it going to get this entire army or just the production facilities? It'll destroy a decent number of units in 2 factories and a barracks. And Bravo team is breaking through in the south. In the north, not so much. They've cleared out a bunch of Nickname's artillery pieces here, but aren't able to get that breakthrough. But in the south, they're certainly going to, I think. But there needs to be constant reinforcements. It's really important that there's constant reinforcements, at least from VJQ here in the south, to be able to really push through. Man-Fat Bad sending their ground army to help out against this push. And luckily for Man-Fat Bad, they do have strikers that can also help out here. Very close game. 5 cruisers are just destroying all of these subs of Murray's. And so looks like it's stabilized in the south a little bit for Bravo team. It's a considerable navy with this many cruisers, but we can see that Murray's reinforcing with the docks from the north. At this point, Nickname's lost everything in this defensive line, but Murray's stabilizing in the south. And this looks like a resounding hold for for Bravo team, even though it was a little bit scary. This rocket is a third of the way done. This one back at home likely all the way done, and it is. This rocket could be used again offensively, or it could be used against the Navy from ManFat Bad and Bravo team in general. If Bravo team just parks the Navy out here and Murray can see it, there is a potential that the rocket could be used against the Navy. Perfect positioning of these missile boats against this many planes for Bravo team. And this many strikers aren't unfortunately going to be able to take on that many missile boats. And here comes the counter push from Nickname and Murray in the south. Presso's got some units in the back. This is great because it'll force Nickname to keep a bunch of units at home to defend against this, which weakens this push. But this is a big problem. There's just an enormous amount of artillery for Murray at this point. And there's not enough infantry to be able to overpower this, and there's not enough artillery but from Bravo team to be able to match this. Okay, so this is what the rocket did. It was used offensively. Murray has enough boats here that they're going to be able to just take this fight anyway. Some of these subs are on ManFat Bad's team. One cruiser goes down. These three are certainly going to be in trouble. But now that ManFat Bad has 4 docks and enough gas to kind of run this, might be able to stabilize that Navy situation again. So Nickname does lose a factor here. They're now down to 4 factory. Out of gas. Rather, that's why we see all those helicopters with the black plumes of smoke. But Murray's making good progress. And this town, I'd say, is at risk now for Presso. Nickname really wants to get these helicopters over to help out, but the beep beep really shows that it is a gas problem. Bombers for Murray are very gas expensive units, but Murray's able to build another rocket immediately, and this rocket on the left hand side of the map is about to be finished again. And this could almost take Presso out of the game if the rocket lands in the middle. I think it could destroy about 4 of these buildings. 1 artillery piece for Presso hammering away at this airport, which damages it greatly but doesn't actually kill it. Murray's rocket on the way. We can see that Nickname is actually in the positive on economy now, so that's probably a good sign for Alpha Team. And that's exactly what happened. So 3 or 4 buildings, it leaves the rest of Presso's base very damaged. And Murray's slowly going to be able to take on this purple army and continue to build on this artillery advantage. Yeah, this is tough because Murray's just going to start pushing, potentially. It's important that Bravo Team get a bunch of boats in this choke while also defending this gas. Presso is out of the game at this point. It would have been a very tough position to hold on, given the effect of those 2 rockets, and Murray's not rebuilding another rocket quite yet. And with Presso gone, this really allows Nickname to push through the north. Alpha Team is going to be able to cap a bunch of this in the north. And I think at this point, I would say the momentum is certainly in Alpha Team's favor. All of this economy is now fully developed for Murray. And these 3 docks continue to pump out boats. It's a little bit of a slowdown in the action as VJQ digs in and tries to rush to the north to fill this void that Presso has left. Because I'm not really sure who owns this territory yet. It might have been Presso's. And so that doesn't automatically go to the teammates when Presso is knocked out of the game. This was fortunately stabilized. ManFat Bad sent in enough units, and with the airports, Bravo Team's able to hold on from this drop. That invasion that Alpha Team was doing. This town is very important. Nickname has a port on this town to the north. So when this town and port is done, it'll open up a trade route, which is worth 10 territories worth of economy, which is quite large. Murray rebuilding this rocket It's only a matter of time now that VJQ's base is going to get rocketed. And there's no SAMs as of yet. So the helicopters are just going to have a field day. And they're going to... I mean, you'll be able to see how effective helicopters are as they just hover over their target. The DPS is pretty impressive. I think they're probably going to get about 5 artillery pieces, so they got the 3rd one there. There goes the 4th. The 5th will fall as the first helicopter goes home. Yeah, they're going to get almost 6 artillery pieces. Manfat bad, I mean the same thing. There's no SAMs over here, so the planes from Bravo team can do a lot of damage. And this is perfect for all these units to be in the choke. It'll be hard for Bravo team to take a fight here, because now everything from Murray can just go to the south now that the north is handled. I don't know what this was. Something happened. Murray destroyed a dock on purpose, I think. Potentially. To save that upkeep. Yeah, this is tough for Bravo team. Because this infantry army in the north is not going to be able to fight this much artillery. There's just not enough infantry, and it's not really grouped up enough to jump on this. Especially with some tanks from Nickname. And this rocket is nearly done. It's 2/3 of the way done now. Murray's taking this gas to secure the energy and ensure that these boats can maneuver and continue to maneuver. It really has to be just all cruisers, I think, from Pink to be able to hold this, because they're at a dock disadvantage, right? So there's 5 docks for Pink, and I guess it's still only 5 docks for Murray, who's destroying this airport. The C4 animation, best animation in the game. All those bombers in airport goes down, which allows Murray to have more economy, and Nickname's money is just starting to ramp up, really. We can see that from allies, Murray is transferring some of the money to Nickname to help kickstart that economy. And here comes this rocket. I think it's an overwhelming naval advantage for Orange here. With a good spread, this is definitely going to turn into a fight. Here comes some strikers. There's going to be enough missile boats that Orange is going to be able to deal with this, unless Pink pushes in at the exact same time. It's a number of subs that Velatus is going to run in, probably try to send off a volley of torpedoes, and then maybe even back up. The destroyers, you can see they kind of have like these depth charges that are going, and I most certainly am going to miss this rocket. I'm just so paranoid of missing it. But the destroyers do a lot of damage against subs. They're very effective against submarines. Okay, Pink is going to start moving this navy. We got the rocket in the north that we're watching. I'd assume that this is going to hit Purple's base anytime now. Murray clearly wants to destroy this energy well for the same reason that they did earlier in the game, because it just makes it so that Pink might not be able to run the boats. By this point, Pink and Green have connected their energy sources, so they could be sharing energy. Second airport from Velatus, which is making helicopters. But it's an overwhelming navy from Orange, and it's gonna rip through this little channel. Luckily for Pink, they've been saving up a bunch of energy, so there's 2 depots full of energy reserves, so the boats aren't stopping quite yet. And in the north, Orange and Yellow going for a big push. With helicopter support, this is certainly going to go in Alpha Team's favor. Here comes the rocket against Velatus. Pardon me, not against Velatus, against VJQ. It doesn't get these 2 factories, but it does destroy the rest of the army. Murray's defensive line is going to put in work, and then I assume when this purple army is done, Murray will just start pushing. Big fight in the top left, but this is going exactly how we thought it would. With enough infantry, there's a chance that VJQ could win this fight. Infantry does very well against artillery once they're on top of it, which makes sense, but these 4 tanks for nickname are really the difference because these infantry are only attacking these tanks in general, and the whole time these artillery pieces are just shelling away at them. In the south, Manfat Bad does hold and is going to be able to destroy this energy well of Murray, who has an unbelievable amount of artillery that's going to soon be raiding Velatus' base. Murray, or pardon me, Nickname's still struggling with gas a little bit. It's still just 1 refinery, or rather, there's 2 refineries at this point, but there's a lot of tanks and helicopters. And 2 more towns for Nickname, with a port on the way for this trade route. Rocket again for Murray. This is a big win for Bravo Team and Manfat Bad, but it'll be very difficult to push through this. With this rocket in defense, it'll be pretty much impossible, I think. Without Bravo Team having their own rocket, it's a tough position. VJQ making a final last stand in the forest. With the help of Manfat Bad's artillery, they should be able to hold this. There's only 3 SAMs, but there's only 2 strikers. So 2 strikers against 3 SAMs, and now all the missile boats for Murray. That's tough. Nickname's got a bunch of tanks, and now you can see the front for Alpha Team is just going to become huge, right? From the leftmost part of the map all the way to the water. And now with this other front opening up, good reaction from Velatus to jump on this as soon as it lands. But there's a good naval support along the coast with these missile boats, so it's hard for the strikers and the helicopters to get much of anything done. And there is still this other rocket from Murray. 2 power plants on the way for Nickname. To keep these tanks moving, they're running out of gas in this mountain range. And this artillery is just going to slowly push down the left side of the map. Okay, so this rocket is trying to hit this navy. It's hard for Manfat Bad to dodge this really because the navy just moves so slowly. Really just a great rocket shot from Murray. I mean, it gets every single boat, and those boats were moving, so... I mean, I guess it gets every single boat except for this part of the Navy. But now Murray just comes in and cleans this up. Yeah, I mean, this was always going to be a tough position for Manfat Bad to break out of, given the situation. But I think it's smart that Manfat Bad went for it then to try to push, because the situation in the north is just slowly unraveling for Bravo Team. There's another rocket for Murray. And I assume this other rocket, yeah, it can just be built again. 2 cities, a port, a bunch of towns. Huge army now for Murray. That is going to be able to push uncontested through Velatus' base. And the first trade routes, or the first merchant ships, pardon me, for Alpha Team are up. The best, coolest unit in the game, the container ship. And when it gets to the end, it'll drop off a bunch of money for Nickname. Just a mess of lines here. VJQ Sin 2022 is out after losing that final barracks. So officially a 2v2. But Velatus is in a lot of trouble. Manfat Bad, it's a tough situation because Manfat Bad has to continue to make a navy to be able to deal with Orange's boats, but then also has to start building a huge land army to deal with this. But slowly, Nickname and Murray are just capping everything on the left-hand side of the map. Another rocket. The first one of the game for nickname. And this is certainly in range of everything that's left. The tanks are on top of the energy infrastructure for Man-Fat Bad. Great move with the subs. This is what the subs are built for. This is what they came for, to try to snipe this one refinery. I think they're going to be able to do it, potentially. This is all that matters now. Do these subs take out this refinery before the boats get back? Depth charges for these destroyers are going off. And if the submarines are targeting just the refinery, maybe they can get it, but super unfortunately for Bravo team, it still stays standing. It's not like it would fully matter at this point with the way the economies are working, because I think Alpha Team has probably surpassed the economy of Bravo team for a long time, just because of how much eco is over here on the right hand side of the map that Murray was able to grab. Here comes the rocket from Murray to destroy what's left of Velatus' base. Velatus destroys the buildings themselves before this lands, leaving only Man-Fat Bad running into Murray's navy. GG. One heck of a game, especially at the beginning. That was like the beginning of the game. Jeez. What a mess. What a glorious mess of multiple fronts. Let's check some graphs. We always gotta check the graphs. Yeah, so this is the economy. I want to see the... I mean, I guess empire value is... Okay, so income. Yeah, so Alpha Team really just takes an advantage here. Players-wise, we can see Murray, what happens when the right-hand side of the map is totally uncontested. GG, folks. Well played. Thank you to, I think Nickname posted this in the Match Replays channel of the Discord. If you want to learn more about the game, hang out, ask questions, chat in general, check out the Line War Discord. You can also check out Twitch. There's some folks who stream over there. I do as well. The name's SodaQuackers, same as on YouTube. Folks, have a wonderful day, evening, night, breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon snack, whatever it is. We'll see you soon. Peace. Have fun.